15 years ago, my parents sent me to the UK for the very first time to do just one thing, that is to study foundations in one of the universities in the UK. And you must be wondering, what is actually foundations? So foundations is actually for someone who didn't have enough marks in GCSE or who failed GCSE, couldn't get into first year universities, and foundations is a kind of stepping stone that you have to retake a year before you can eligible to get into the first year universities, right? So that's basically what I did, because I played too many games back in my high school days and I failed my GCSEs, so that I have to do foundations. Anyway, my parents gave me only £1,000 budget to survive in a year, so that's mean that I only have average of £100 to survive in a year in the UK. Even back in 2009, 15 years ago, it's still a quite difficult thing to achieve, because £100 a month, you basically pretty much have to live on rice and pasta, which I will talk about. In this video, I just want to talk about the bit that's what I have learned, 3 things, the most important things, and that I'm still using it till today, and how that actually helped me over the past 15 years in the UK and built quite a good net worth so far, which I've made a video about it, my $500,000 net worth, which you can revisit it. And yeah, so let's deep dive into the first one. So the first one will be how to buy groceries in a clever ways, right? I think with £100, you don't have enough money to spend per week. So that's per week, averagely, I only have £25. And back then, 2009, it's actually enough, more than enough to actually survive, given the fact that you just live with rice, pastas, and then the rest just raw meats that you have to cook every day. And that's pretty much, I do that every day. And then also on top of that, if you want some fibers, then in the UK, there's a lot of cheap, I think it's only 80p's back then, it's called Chinese leaf, where you can get a bunch of it and then you can actually eat that for almost a week. I think add up to 25 quid. And then I also didn't specifically choose cheaper grocery store like Lidl or Sainsbury's, but obviously I don't go expensive grocery store in the UK like Waitrose and things like that. I only shopped in Sainsbury's and Tesco predominantly, I think, back then. I also think that buying in bulk also helped. Back in the day, I kind of wait until evenings as well, because in the UK there's a thing called yellow tags, which for those who doesn't know, you actually can buy a lot cheaper food if you go to the store in evenings time, where the food kind of almost expired but not expired. They will actually tag it as yellow, and then sometimes almost half price of it is actually almost free or 10p and anything like that. So I usually do that. I usually do that shoppings, and that actually helped me a lot back then. I think even that actually carry across my university years as well. Obviously I don't do that now, because yellow tags are usually for someone who actually need it. And if you're unlucky, you see a queue actually just waiting for the yellow tags to appear all the time. Ultimately, I think that, you know, knowing how to buy and what to eat is quite important. And then lastly as well, and it's important that having a grocery is also preparing your meal in advance. Having that 21 meals prepared in advance are quite difficult, because obviously you have to think about what you want to eat on 21 meals. But if you only have £25 to spend, you don't have a lot of choice, and it's just basically the same food all the way. Then you may as well just spend that time to prepare the food in advance. So it's a little bit like the protein meal, G meal, prep meals, or whatever that called, is that the only difference is that it has significant lack of protein and a lot more carbs in it. I still remember that I made 21 meals in a roll, which I also had a lot of, I wouldn't say argument, but kind of discussion with a funny flatmates, that I spent a lot of the slot in the fridge because I've prepared too many meals over the week. But ultimately, I kind of rambling, but I think the first thing that's most important is knowing what to buy, what to eat. Not having like what's the cheapest or whatever, but I think knowing what to buy as a grocery and knowing what to cook as well. Like the staple or requirement of living in the absolute minimum budget. I think that's it really for about groceries. If anyone actually interested to hear more about what kind of rice to buy to save the most money, or even what type of pastas, you can actually comment down below and I can actually talk about it. So the next one is about learning and adapting, which is I think one of the sections that I'm really keen to talk about, because for the very first time back then, I ever freedom to explore the city as a person. Back in my home country, I didn't have a lot of choices that I have to stay in home or house, because, you know, we don't have transportation to go around, and transportation back in my home country is just not good enough. But when I first arrived in the UK, especially in Sunderland, I've been exploring the cities quite a lot, you know, visiting the Brit. I still remember there's a train called Grand Central that take me to London. I'm not sure if that's still available. And then the underground train named Metro. Ultimately, I think this section video is about how to adapt yourself if you firstly just landed in a stranger place. It was surprisingly difficult for me, because I didn't speak a word of English back then. Especially what's so challenging about it is I landed and I have to stay in a city with heavy accents named Macon, where I hardly understand any English come out of them, and then they also hardly understand what I'm trying to say as well. I really remember that first time ever I went into Subway in Sunderland, where the receptionist started asking what type of bread I'm looking for, what type of size, what fillings, and then do I want any sauces and anything like that. I couldn't understand anything out of it, and I ended up quite embarrassing, and then my friends actually helped me to order it. But ultimately, I think it was a good experience and a wake-up call as well to me that it's first time, but at the same time as well, I'm lacking that kind of life skills or experience to actually survive in the random cities. So given me a fact that if I need to survive, say, Japan, that if I have the chance to actually move over to Japan, I think I will have a better experience and equipment, better skills to actually adapting myself. So this is one of the very important skills that what I've learned so far. The next one will be about my wealth. Why it's actually so important, why it's actually giving me a bigger pictures of financial wisdoms, and also the reason why I'm making this video. Because the first thing is that firstly, I understand how to actually budget myself to survive in the extreme conditions. I now have the mindset or foresight that I only spend whatever I need. Doesn't mean that I have to live frugally even to today, or just living on £40 a week or whatever. That experience given me an idea is that actually if you have £2,000, you would still spend £2,000. If you have £3,000, you would spend £3,000. So because of that, I have ideas of how to save money. I now having the ideas as well to carry across how I live my life over the past 15 years in the UK, allowing me to build a significant net worth. I think at the same time, this has influenced my financial decision, how I actually invest my money over the years, and then how I actually leverage that experience to build my wealth as well, which is pretty important. Ultimately, the story of the day is that I'm not trying to say that, surviving £1,000 in a year in the UK is something to be proud of, but I think this is one of the experiences that I've had in my life that I wish to share. I also felt like I didn't actually make this video quite well to explain that kind of whole bit of experience, because I'm quite new in making videos. But the whole idea of that is foundations. It's not about foundation to get the uni, but the foundation that I've built in Sunderland that actually helped me tremendously for the next 15 years. How I survived in the UK, how I built my wealth, and how I grow my own communities, know my friends and everything. So which is pretty important. So conclusion to this video, that if anyone actually thinking of coming to the UK and then they have a tight budget, thinking how to survive on that, feel free to leave the comments down below. I will reply to you, try to help as much as I can. Or if you enjoy looking at me suffering, making videos, bad videos like this one, then yeah, feel free to subscribe to me, like the videos so that I can be good at making videos. I hope this video actually helps. Until next time, keep embracing the journey, and then let's continue to learn and grow together. I think my channel is all about making financial videos, and then also sharing a bit of how I come in from a migrant background. Even though I think my video is kind of bad at the moment, but I think starting next month I'll ramp up a little bit of the production values and then try to script a little bit better how I was actually making videos. See you next time. Peace.